closely at these streets. They are among the cleanest in the world. Look at this skyline, a rising silhouette of glass and steel. This is Kigali, the heartbeat of Rwanda. To the casual observer, it looks like a modern success story, a Singapore of Africa. But 30 years ago, this landscape told a very different story. In 1994, the world watched as this nation was pushed to the absolute brink of extinction. The state had collapsed, the economy was in ruins, and the social fabric was shredded. Yet, from those very ashes, something unprecedented happened. Rwanda didn't just rebuild, it reinvented itself. Today, it stands as one of the fastest-growing economies on the planet. But how? How did a small, landlocked nation transform its destiny in a single generation? In this documentary, we are peeling back the layers of the Rwandan Miracle. The journey from tragedy to triumph was not a matter of luck, it was a matter of design. This is the untold story of the secrets behind a nation's ascent. This is Rwanda, the secret of a meteoric rise. This is Africa Revealed. In July 1994, the sirens had finally stopped, but the silence that followed was even more haunting. The country was a literal graveyard. Beyond the staggering loss of life, the very mechanics of a nation had simply vanished. There was no electricity to power the capital, no running water for the thirsty, and a national treasury that had been looted down to the last cent. Every school, hospital, and court of law had been stripped bare or reduced to rubble. Most of the country's professionals, the doctors who should have been healing, the judges who should have been presiding, and the engineers who should have been rebuilding, were either gone, in exile, or among the fallen. The world looked at the small, scarred patch of the Great Lakes region and saw a failed state. International experts and humanitarian agencies predicted that Rwanda would require decades of absolute charity just to keep its remaining population from starving. It was categorized as a lost cause, a nation destined to be a permanent ward of the international community. But inside the hearts of those who remained, a different philosophy was taking root. The new leadership realized that mere survival would never be enough to save the soul of the country. If Rwanda was to exist at all, it needed a radical departure from every established developmental norm. They knew that traditional foreign aid was a temporary bandage, not a long-term cure. They didn't just want to rebuild the Rwanda of the past, they wanted to invent a version of Rwanda that the world had never seen before, a nation built on the foundation of self-reliance and uncompromising discipline. The first and most critical challenge was the restoration of order and justice, but the math of justice was impossible. How do you provide a fair trial when your entire legal system has been wiped out? How do you process hundreds of thousands of suspects when you only have a handful of qualified lawyers left in the entire country? At the rate of standard international law, it would have taken over 100 years to clear the backlog of cases. The answer was the first secret of Rwanda's rise, a return to tradition through the Gacaca courts. These were community-led trials where justice was served on the grass in the very villages where the crimes had occurred. It was a radical, controversial, and deeply personal system. It wasn't just about punishment, it was about the truth. By bringing survivors and perpetrators face to face under the eyes of their own community, Rwanda chose a path of collective healing over perpetual resentment. These courts allowed the nation to document its history while simultaneously clearing the path for its future. It was the first brick in the foundation of a new national identity, proving that Rwandan problems could be solved with Rwandan solutions. With the legal backlog moving, the leadership turned toward the most daring social experiment in modern history: the official abolition of ethnic labels. The government made a decree that would change the country forever. There were no longer Hutus or Tutsis, there were only Rwandans. This was far more than a simple slogan. It was codified into the very fabric of the law. To speak of ethnic division was no longer just a social faux pas, it was seen as an act against the state itself. This unity by design approach was a calculated risk. It forced a traumatized population to stop looking at their neighbors with suspicion and start looking at them as partners in a shared struggle. By removing the labels that had been used to tear the country apart, the state created a vacuum that was quickly filled with a new, fierce sense of national pride. This unity allowed the country to pivot its focus from the grievances of the past to the possibilities of the future. The social fabric was being rewoven, and with it, the mechanics of governance were about to be completely overhauled. This is where Rwanda's unique radical accountability truly comes into play. The government introduced a concept known as Imihigo. Rooted in pre-colonial Rwandan culture, Imihigo originally referred to a brave individual setting a grand goal and pursuing it until completion. In the modern version, this became a system of performance contracts that spared no one. Every official, from the smallest village chief to the highest-ranking cabinet minister, must publicly set specific, measurable goals for the year. These are not the vague political promises we see in most parts of the world. You won't hear an official simply say they want to improve healthcare. Instead, their contract will state that they must ensure that 98% of households in their district have access to clean water, or construct 10 new classrooms by December. At the end of the year, these officials are publicly evaluated in front of the president and their peers. Those who meet their targets are celebrated as heroes of development. Those who fail without a valid, documented reason are not given a second chance. They are removed from office. This created a high-stakes culture where the government didn't just exist to rule, it existed to deliver tangible, visible results. It turned the act of governing into a race for excellence, ensuring that every layer of the administration was working toward the same national vision. This culture of accountability quickly trickled down into every aspect of Rwandan life. It is the reason you see government ministers getting their hands dirty during Umuganda, the mandatory community service held on the last Saturday of every month. It is also the reason why corruption, which serves as a parasite to so many developing economies, was met with a zero-tolerance policy that shocked the region. In Rwanda, the secret to their success wasn't that they had more money than their neighbors. In fact, they had significantly less. The secret was that every single franc of the national budget was expected to be accounted for and felt by the citizens on the ground. By the turn of the millennium, the Vision 2020 plan was officially launched. International observers and skeptics called it impossible dreaming. They laughed at the idea that a landlocked country could transform into a knowledge-based middle-income powerhouse in just 2 decades. But for a people who had seen the absolute bottom of human existence, impossible was nothing more than a benchmark. The stage was now set for the Singapore of Africa. By the early 2000s, Rwanda faced a geographic reality that would have paralyzed almost any other nation on Earth. It is a small, mountainous country landlocked in the heart of Africa, with no direct access to the sea and no vast reserves of oil, gas, or precious minerals to sell on the global market. In the traditional economic playbook, these are the classic ingredients for permanent generational poverty. But the leadership in Kigali refused to accept this fate. Instead of looking at their neighbors for a model, they looked halfway across the world to the story of Singapore. Like Rwanda, Singapore was a small, resource-poor nation that had been written off by the world after its independence. The Rwandan leadership realized a fundamental truth. If you do not have gold in the ground, you must create value in the minds of your people and the absolute efficiency of your systems. The Rwandan government made a radical, high-stakes decision. They would stop acting like a traditional, sluggish bureaucracy and start acting like a high-performance global corporation. They realized that to attract the private capital they so desperately needed, they had to be more than just stable. They had to be the most frictionless place on the entire continent to do business. It wasn't just about passing a few investor-friendly laws, it was about a total cultural overhaul of how the state interacted with the world. They looked at every single hurdle an entrepreneur faced, from the cost of a permit to the time it took to get a construction license, and they began a systematic, ruthless campaign to tear those hurdles down. They understood that in a hyper-competitive, globalized world, capital is inherently a coward. It only goes where it feels safe, where it is respected, and where it can move at the speed of thought. Rwanda decided it would become the safest, fastest, and most welcoming harbor in the African landscape. The centerpiece of this strategy was the creation of the Rwanda Development Board, or the RDB. In most developing nations, starting a business is a nightmare of red tape, involving visits to multiple government ministries, paying dozens of hidden fees, and waiting months for a single signature. Rwanda did something revolutionary. They collapsed that entire fragmented process into a single digital window. They modernized and digitized the system so thoroughly that it became possible to register a new company in less than 24 hours, entirely online from anywhere in the world. This sent a thunderous signal to the global markets. Rwanda was open for business, and they were not joking. But this efficiency wasn't limited to digital paperwork. It extended to the very physical appearance of the country. The government realized that order itself was a marketable commodity. They enforced strict urban planning, environmental standards, and building codes that were virtually unheard of in the region. When international investors saw the clean, organized, and flower-lined streets of Kigali, they didn't just see a beautiful city, they saw a government that was capable of managing complex, large-scale systems. For a savvy international investor, a clean street is a powerful proxy for a clean balance sheet. It suggests that if a government has the discipline to manage its trash and its traffic, it has the discipline to manage its taxes, its contracts, and its infrastructure. This brand of order became Rwanda's primary export. They were no longer just selling raw coffee beans and tea leaves. They were selling the idea of a modern African nation that functioned with the precision and predictability of a Swiss watch. With the business environment primed, Rwanda needed a way to physically get people into the country to see the progress. Because they were landlocked, traditional heavy manufacturing and shipping were prohibitively expensive, so they pivoted toward a weightless economy based on services and knowledge. They invested hundreds of millions of dollars into what is known as the MICE industry: meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. The crown jewel of this strategy was the Kigali Convention Center, a glowing beehive-shaped architectural landmark that served as a signal of Rwanda's ambition to be the primary meeting room for the entire African continent. They didn't just build the hall, they built an entire high-end ecosystem around it. They expanded the national carrier, Rwanda, treating it not just as a transport company, but as a strategic tool for diplomacy and trade. They signed open skies agreements and made the bold move of abolishing visa requirements for all Africans, and eventually for citizens of almost every nation. They made it so that a CEO from London, a diplomat from Addis Ababa, or a tech founder from Silicon Valley could land in Kigali and be in a world-class boardroom within 30 minutes of touching down. This strategy turned Kigali into a diplomatic and commercial crossroads. By hosting major global events from the World Economic Forum on Africa to the Basketball Africa League, Rwanda ensured that the world's most influential people were constantly seeing the Rwandan Miracle with their own eyes. It was a masterclass in nation branding that bypassed traditional media narratives and spoke directly to the decision-makers of the world. Rwanda understood that to sustain this meteoric rise, they had to bridge the massive gap between the gleaming towers of the capital and the rural hills where the majority of the population still lived. They poured a massive, record-breaking percentage of their GDP back into infrastructure, but they did it with a unique technological twist. They didn't just build roads, they built corridors of opportunity. They focused on a concept called infrastructure as a service, ensuring that every new road was paired with electricity grids and high-speed fiber optic cables that reached even the most remote villages. This was the Singapore model, adapted for the African hillside. It was the realization that you cannot have a modern, competitive economy if your farmers cannot reach the market or if your students cannot reach the internet. They invited global tech giants like Volkswagen and Zipline to use Rwanda as a testbed for new technologies, arguing that if a solution could work in the rugged, high-altitude terrain of Rwanda, it could work anywhere in the developing world. This openness to experimentation led to partnerships that would eventually birth the world's first national drone delivery network. By the end of this transformative period, Rwanda had proven to the world that geography is not destiny. They had shown that a small, landlocked nation could bypass the traditional industrial age and leapfrog directly into the service and knowledge economy of the 21st century. The Singapore of Africa was no longer just a slogan, it was a functioning, profitable, and highly visible reality. The final and perhaps most vital component of the Singapore model wasn't made of asphalt or fiber optics, it was made of people. The leadership in Kigali knew that all the world-class infrastructure in the world would be useless if the citizens weren't equipped to manage it. To move from a nation of subsistence farmers to a nation of tech-savvy professionals, Rwanda launched a massive overhaul of its education system. They shifted the national language of instruction from French to English almost overnight. A controversial and logistically Herculean task designed to plug the country directly into the global language of business and technology. But they didn't stop at the classroom. They looked for the best partners in the world to help them train the next generation of African leaders. This led to the arrival of institutions like Carnegie Mellon University, which established a campus in Kigali to train high-level engineers from across the continent. They realized that a knowledge economy requires more than just literacy. It requires specialized, high-tier expertise. By subsidizing these elite programs, Rwanda ensured that the young people coming of age in the 2010s weren't just looking for jobs, they were looking to create them. This investment in human capital extended to the diaspora as well. The government actively courted Rwandans living abroad, encouraging those with degrees from Harvard, Oxford or Stanford to return home and apply their skills to the national project. They offered them a sense of purpose that no corporate job in the West could match, the chance to build a nation from the ground up. This brain gain injected a level of global sophistication into the Rwandan civil service and private sector that is rare in the region. By the time the foundations of the business model were set, Rwanda had a workforce that was hungry, bilingual, and technically proficient. They weren't just building a Singapore in Africa, they were building a population that believed they deserved to be the best. As this chapter of economic transformation closed, the nation was no longer looking for a seat at the table, it was building its own. For most developing nations, the path to modernization is a slow, agonizing crawl through the industrial age, building factories, laying heavy rail, and waiting for the benefits of the city to trickle down to the countryside. But Rwanda decided to skip a few chapters. They embraced a concept known as leapfrogging. Just as most Rwandans skipped landline telephones and went straight to mobile, the government decided the nation would skip the era of slow, physical bureaucracy and leapfrog directly into a digital-first society. They realized that in the 21st century, the internet is not a luxury. It is as essential as water or electricity. The vision was bold, to turn a nation of mountains into a nation of signals. Over the last decade, Rwanda has laid over 4,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable, reaching all 30 districts of the country. This wasn't just about connecting government offices in the capital, it was about bringing high-speed broadband to the most remote volcanic hillsides. This digital backbone became the new road of the Rwandan economy. It allowed a student in a rural village to access the same global knowledge as a student in Kigali. By treating the internet as a public utility, the government leveled the playing field, ensuring that the meteoric rise wasn't limited to an urban elite, but was accessible to every Rwandan with a smartphone and a vision. This infrastructure set the stage for Rwanda to become the primary testbed for the world's most advanced technologies. Perhaps the most famous example of Rwanda's digital bravery is its partnership with Zipline. In 2016, while the rest of the world was still debating the ethics and safety of commercial drones, Rwanda launched the world's first national drone delivery network. The problem they faced was the last mile. How do you get life-saving medical supplies like blood and vaccines to remote hospitals over rugged, mountainous terrain, where a 50-kilometer drive could take 4 hours on a rainy day? Instead of waiting for decades of road construction, Rwanda looked to the sky. Today, if a doctor in a rural clinic needs a specific blood type for a surgery, they send a simple WhatsApp message. Within minutes, an autonomous drone launches from a central distribution hub, flies at nearly 100 kilometers per hour, and drops a parachute-bound package directly at the hospital's doorstep. This system has reduced the delivery time of life-saving blood from 4 hours to just 15 minutes. It isn't just a cool tech demo, it is a functioning healthcare miracle that has saved thousands of lives. By being the first to say yes to this technology, Rwanda didn't just solve a local problem, it became a global consultant. Today, Western nations look to Rwanda's drone laws and logistics as the gold standard for their own future networks. It was a clear message to the world. In Rwanda, innovation isn't just welcomed, it's vital. While drones dominated the headlines, a quieter but equally powerful revolution was taking place inside every citizen's pocket. The government launched Irembo, a one-stop digital portal for all public services. In many countries, getting a birth certificate, renewing a driver's license, or applying for a land title involves hours of standing in lines, dealing with multiple agencies, and the inevitable risk of facilitation fees to speed up the process. Irembo killed the paper trail and, along with it, the opportunity for low-level corruption. By digitizing over 100 essential government services, Rwanda transformed the relationship between the citizen and the state. You no longer need to know the right person in a government office to get things done, you only need a basic mobile phone. This system uses USSD technology, meaning it doesn't even require a high-end smartphone or a 4G connection. A farmer in a remote district can pay their taxes, register their marriage, or apply for a building permit via text message. This radical transparency has done more than just save time. It has built a deep sense of trust. When the rules are the same for everyone and the system is automated, the meteoric rise feels fair. It turned the government from a distant authority into a service provider that lives on your SIM card. To sustain this momentum, Rwanda knew it couldn't just be a consumer of global technology, it had to become a creator of it. This realization led to the birth of Kigali Innovation City, or KIC, a project so ambitious it has been dubbed the Silicon Valley of Africa. But KIC is more than just a cluster of office buildings. It is a multi-billion-dollar master-planned ecosystem designed to be the physical manifestation of the knowledge economy Rwanda has been dreaming of since 1994. Located within the Kigali Special Economic Zone, this hub is designed to host a mix of world-class universities, pan-African tech companies, and cutting-edge biotech firms. The fundamental goal of Kigali Innovation City is to create a density of talent. In the world of innovation, magic happens when you put the brightest minds in close proximity to the resources they need to scale. By placing the best African engineers and software developers in the same neighborhood as global venture capital firms and multinational tech giants, Rwanda's betting that it can become the primary incubator for African solutions to African problems. The vision is for a homegrown genius to develop an app in the morning, discuss funding with an investor over lunch, and test a prototype with a neighboring biotech firm by the afternoon. We are already seeing the tangible fruits of this investment. It was here that the groundwork was laid for Mara phones, the first high-quality smartphone factory to manufacture devices entirely on the African continent. We are seeing startups emerge that create AI-driven agricultural tools specifically designed to help smallholder farmers on steep Rwandan hillsides predict crop yields with staggering accuracy. Crucially, Rwanda isn't just trying to copy the Western model of move fast and break things. Instead, they are building a unique tech ecosystem, one that prioritizes social impact and national development as much as quarterly profit. In Kigali Innovation City, success isn't just measured by a company's stock price or its unicorn status, it is measured by how many lives are improved in the surrounding hills. It is a bold statement that the future of African technology will not be imported, it will be built, coded, and scaled right here in the heart of Rwanda.
The final layer of the digital frontier is the human hardware. Rwanda realized that all the fiber optic cables and drone ports in the world are useless if the population doesn't have the digital literacy to use them. This led to the Digital Ambassadors Program, an initiative where young, tech-savvy Rwandans are sent into rural communities to teach their elders and neighbors how to use digital tools. They aren't just teaching people how to browse the web, they are teaching them how to use mobile money, how to access healthcare portals, and how to sell their crops on digital marketplaces. This has created a unique form of digital citizenship. In Rwanda, technology is not seen as a threat to tradition, but as a protector of it. It allows families to stay connected, farmers to protect their livelihoods, and the youth to dream beyond the borders of their village. As we look at the drones overhead and the fiber optics underfoot, we see a nation that has successfully rewired its brain. The secret of this meteoric rise is that Rwanda stopped viewing technology as a luxury for the rich and started viewing it as the fastest vehicle for the poor. As Chapter 3 closes, we see a Rwanda that is no longer just catching up to the rest of the world. In many ways, it is already standing where the rest of the world is trying to go.
When most developing nations look at tourism, they see a numbers game. They build massive resorts, court budget airlines, and try to attract as many millions of people as possible to boost their GDP. But Rwanda, true to its quality over quantity philosophy, chose a radically different path. They looked at their most precious natural asset, the endangered mountain gorillas of the Virunga Massif, and decided that they would not let them become a spectacle for the masses. Instead, they pioneered a high-value, low-impact strategy. They deliberately set the price of gorilla trekking permits at a premium, currently $1,500 per person. To the outside world, this seemed like an elitist move that would drive tourists away. In reality, it did the exact opposite. It created a sense of exclusivity and prestige that turned Rwanda into a bucket list destination for the world's most affluent and environmentally conscious travelers. This strategy was brilliant for two reasons. First, it limited the physical footprint on the fragile volcanic ecosystems, ensuring that the gorillas were not stressed by constant crowds. Second, it generated massive revenue with a fraction of the infrastructure requirements of mass tourism. But the real Rwandan secret isn't just the high price tag, it's where that money goes. 10% of all tourism revenue is funneled directly back into the communities surrounding the national parks. This isn't a vague promise of trickle-down economics. It is a direct investment in local schools, health clinics, and clean water projects. By making the local population the primary shareholders in conservation, Rwanda transformed former poachers into the gorilla's fiercest protectors. They realized that you cannot save a forest if the people living on its edge are hungry. By aligning the prosperity of the people with the survival of the wildlife, Rwanda created a sustainable loop that has seen the mountain gorilla population actually increase. A rare victory in the global fight against extinction.
While the gorillas are the face of Rwandan tourism, the brand of the country is built on something much more humble: cleanliness. Anyone who has landed in Kigali is immediately struck by the absence of litter. There are no plastic bags caught in the trees, no discarded bottles in the gutters, and no mountains of trash on the street corners. This isn't an accident, and it isn't just the result of a few hard-working street sweepers. It is the result of a national policy that began in 2008 when Rwanda became one of the first countries in the world to implement a total ban on non-biodegradable plastic bags. While other nations debated the logistics for decades, Rwanda simply did it. Today, if you try to bring a plastic bag into the country, it will be confiscated at the airport. It was a bold, early statement of the nation's green vision. But the true secret to Rwanda's pristine landscape is Umuganda. On the last Saturday of every month, the entire country literally shuts down for 3 hours. From 8 in the morning until 11, traffic stops, shops close, and every able-bodied citizen between the ages of 18 and 65 heads outside to work on community projects. You might see a CEO from a tech company digging a drainage ditch alongside a local farmer, or a government minister planting trees in a new public park. This isn't just a cleaning day, it is a massive social glue. It reinforces the idea that the nation belongs to the people, and therefore the people are responsible for its upkeep. Umuganda saves the government millions of dollars in infrastructure and maintenance costs every year, but more importantly, it fosters a collective ownership. In Rwanda, sustainability isn't a buzzword found in a policy paper. It is a monthly physical practice that keeps the nation the cleanest on the continent.
Rwanda's commitment to the environment goes far beyond picking up litter. The nation is acutely aware that it is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world to the effects of climate change. With its land of 1,000 hills geography, Rwanda faces constant threats from landslides and erratic rainfall that can devastate its agricultural backbone. To fight back, the government established FONERWA, the Rwanda Green Fund. This is one of the largest and most successful national climate funds in Africa. Its mission is simple but massive: to find, fund, and scale the most innovative green projects across the country. This fund has allowed Rwanda to treat the climate crisis not as a burden, but as an economic opportunity. They are investing in green cities, starting with a pilot project in Kigali that features affordable, eco-friendly housing, renewable energy grids, and integrated public transport. They are subsidizing the transition from petrol-powered motorcycle taxis, the backbone of African transport, to electric e-bikes. By creating a financial engine for sustainability, Rwanda is showing that a developing nation doesn't have to choose between growth and the environment. They are proving that a green economy is actually the most resilient way to build a middle-income future. This isn't just about being eco-friendly, it's about national security. For Rwanda, being green is the only way to ensure that the progress they've made since 1994 isn't washed away by the changing climate of the 21st century. For decades, the African safari was a product defined by other nations. Rwanda decided it was time to rebrand that experience for a new generation of travelers. They didn't just want to be a gorilla stop, they wanted to offer a complete, world-class circuit. This led to the massive restoration of Akagera National Park. In the years following the 1994 tragedy, Akagera was in a state of collapse. Poaching was rampant, and the lion and rhino populations had been completely wiped out. But through a strategic partnership with African parks, Rwanda embarked on an audacious rewilding project. They didn't just protect what was left, they brought back what was lost. In 2015, lions were reintroduced to the Rwandan plains for the first time in 20 years. 2 years later, the eastern black rhino followed. Today, Akagera is a Big Five destination once again. This restoration wasn't just a win for biodiversity, it was a masterstroke in tourism diversification. By offering both the misty mountains of the gorillas and the classic savanna of Akagera, Rwanda ensured that tourists would stay longer and spend more. They paired this with the Visit Rwanda campaign, famously partnering with global football giants like Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain. Seeing Visit Rwanda on the sleeves of the world's best players was a signal that this small nation was ready to compete on the biggest stage. It transformed Rwanda from a place associated with history into a place associated with luxury, adventure, and cutting-edge conservation. As we look at the lush hills and the thriving parks, we see the final secret of Rwanda's green rise: the philosophy of the green heart. The leadership realized early on that a nation's image is its most valuable asset. In a world that is increasingly worried about the environment, Rwanda positioned itself as the conscience of the continent. They aren't just protecting trees, they are protecting their future brand as a clean, green, and high-tech hub. This environmental discipline has become a point of immense national pride, a new kind of green patriotism that unites the country. When you walk through the car-free zones of Kigali or witness the return of the rhinos to the plains, you are seeing a nation that has decided to live in harmony with its geography rather than trying to conquer it. Rwanda has shown that you don't need to be a wealthy Western nation to lead the world in sustainability. In fact, they have shown that being small and agile is a massive advantage in the race toward a green future. As Chapter 4 concludes, it's clear that Rwanda's meteoric rise was never just about GDP or skyscrapers. It was about creating a country that is beautiful enough to invite the world in and sustainable enough to last for generations to come. The Singapore of Africa isn't just efficient, it is breathtakingly green. In the wake of 1994, Rwanda faced a demographic reality that would dictate its future. The population was nearly 70% female. With so many men lost to the tragedy or in the justice system, the nation realized that if women did not lead the reconstruction, there would be no reconstruction at all. But instead of this being a temporary emergency measure, Rwanda turned it into a permanent national strategy. They didn't just allow women into the workforce, they built the entire modern Rwandan state around the principle of gender parity. They understood a fundamental economic truth that many developed nations still struggle with. You cannot achieve a meteoric rise if you are leaving half of your best brains and hardest workers on the sidelines. This philosophy was codified into the 2003 Constitution, which mandated that at least 30% of all decision-making positions be held by women. But the Rwandan people didn't stop at the minimum. Today, Rwanda consistently leads the world with the highest percentage of women in parliament, often hovering around 60%. This isn't just a statistic for international praise, it has fundamentally changed the nature of Rwandan policy. Research consistently shows that when women are in power, public spending shifts toward healthcare, education, and social stability. In Rwanda, the gender revolution became the secret weapon of the national budget. By empowering women at the village level through to the cabinet, the nation ensured that its growth was compassionate, focused on the family unit, and designed for the long term. This wasn't a Western import of feminism, it was a pragmatic Rwandan realization that the mother of the nation was the only force capable of stitching a broken society back together. While the political halls were being transformed, a second revolution was happening in the rural hills, the creation of Mutuelle de Santé. In many developing nations, a single medical emergency can push a family into permanent, multi-generational poverty. Rwanda decided that health was a human right that the state had to protect if it wanted a productive workforce. They developed a community-based health insurance scheme that is now considered a global gold standard for low-income countries. Today, over 90% of the Rwandan population is covered by health insurance, a figure that rivals and in some cases surpasses the most advanced economies in the West. The system is a masterpiece of social engineering. It is funded through a combination of modest premiums scaled to a family's income and significant government subsidies. It ensures that even the poorest farmer in a remote district can walk into a clinic and receive treatment without the fear of financial ruin. But the secret source of Rwandan healthcare isn't just the insurance, it's the army of 45,000 community health workers. These are volunteers, elected by their own villages, who are trained to treat basic malaria, provide prenatal care, and monitor nutrition. They are the front line of the Rwandan Miracle. By bringing healthcare to the doorstep rather than waiting for people to travel to a distant hospital, Rwanda has seen some of the steepest declines in child and maternal mortality in human history. They proved that you don't need to be a wealthy nation to have a healthy one, you just need a system built on local trust and radical inclusion. Perhaps no program captures the unique spirit of the Rwandan rise better than Girinka. Launched in 2006, the name literally means "may you have a cow." It is a social protection scheme rooted in ancient Rwandan culture, where the gift of a cow was the ultimate sign of respect and a bond between families. The government took this tradition and scaled it into a national poverty reduction engine. The premise is simple. The state provides a high-quality dairy cow to the poorest families in a community. This cow provides immediate nutrition through milk for the children, and the surplus milk is sold for income. The manure is used as a potent organic fertilizer to transform small garden plots into high-yield farms. But there is a brilliant social contract built into Girinka. When that cow gives birth to its first female calf, the family must give that calf to their neighbor. This passing on the gift creates a literal chain of prosperity and reconciliation. It forces people who may have been divided by history to become invested in each other's success. If my neighbor's cow is sick, I lose my future calf. Therefore, we must work together. Girinka has lifted hundreds of thousands of Rwandans out of extreme poverty. But its true value is psychological. It restored dignity to the rural poor, turning them from aid recipients into asset owners and community benefactors. It is a reminder that the most effective social safety nets are those that honor a people's culture while providing a clear, laddered path to economic independence. To complement programs like Girinka, the government launched the Vision 2020 Umurenge program, or the VUP. This is a sophisticated three-pronged social safety net designed to catch those who might fall through the cracks of a rapidly modernizing economy. The first prong is direct financial support for the elderly and disabled who cannot work. The second is a massive public works program, essentially a new deal for Rwanda, where citizens are paid to build the very terraces, roads, and water systems their communities need. This ensures that infrastructure projects provide both a long-term asset to the country and immediate cash to the most vulnerable. The third and most innovative prong of the VUP is the provision of low-interest microloans to small entrepreneurs. Rwanda realized that many of its citizens weren't looking for a handout, they were looking for a start. By providing tiny amounts of capital to a woman wanting to buy a sewing machine or a youth wanting to start a small repair shop, the VUP turned the safety net into a trampoline. The program is managed at the most local level, ensuring that the money goes to those who actually need it and that there is community accountability for repayment. This radical approach to poverty reduction is a core reason why Rwanda's Gini coefficient, the measure of inequality, has seen significant improvements even as the overall economy surged. They understood that a Singapore of Africa that only exists for the elite is a fragile house of cards. A true rise must be felt in the pockets of the person at the very bottom of the hill. As we look at the high-tech drones overhead and the clean streets of the capital, we must remember that the secrets of Rwanda's meteoric rise is ultimately found in its social contract. The people of Rwanda made a silent agreement. They would give the state their discipline, their hard work, and their absolute commitment to unity, and in exchange, the state would guarantee them a life of dignity, health, and opportunity. This chapter has shown that Rwanda's success wasn't just built on business models or digital frontiers, it was built on a foundation of radical empathy and social engineering. The gender revolution ensured that the nation was running at full capacity. The Mutuelle and Girinka programs ensured that no one was left to suffer in the shadows of the rising skyscrapers. This is the lesson Rwanda offers to the rest of the world. Economic growth is a means, not an end. The end goal is a society where every citizen, regardless of their background or their gender, feels that they have a stake in the future. In the land of 1,000 hills, the greatest resource hasn't been the land itself, but the resilience and the rewoven unity of its people. As Chapter 5 concludes, we see a Rwanda that has moved from a place of unimaginable social collapse to a global model for social inclusion. The meteoric rise is complete because it is a rise for everyone. As the year 2020 arrived and passed, the world looked at Rwanda to see if the impossible dreaming had actually manifested into reality. While challenges remained, the transformation was undeniable. Rwanda had moved from a low-income to a middle-income country. Poverty had been slashed, and life expectancy had nearly doubled since the mid-90s. But for the leadership in Kigali, 2020 was never the finish line. It was merely the end of the warm-up. The nation has now pivoted toward Vision 2050, an even more audacious roadmap that aims to turn Rwanda into a high-income nation within the next 3 decades. This new vision focuses on the sophistication of the economy. It's no longer just about building roads, it's about building world-class research centers. It's no longer just about basic literacy, it's about becoming a global hub for artificial intelligence and biotechnology. The horizon for Rwanda is a future where the Singapore of Africa is no longer a comparison, but a standard in its own right. They are betting on the idea that a small, landlocked nation can become a central nervous system for the entire continent's trade and innovation. As we look at the blueprints for the future, we see a nation that has completely shed the identity of a victim and fully embraced the identity of a victor. The rise was not a fluke, it was the first stage of a long-term ascent. One of the most surprising aspects of Rwanda's rise is its disproportionate influence on the global stage. For a country of its size, Rwanda punches far above its weight in international diplomacy and peacekeeping. Today, Rwanda is one of the world's largest contributors to United Nations peacekeeping missions. From the Central African Republic to South Sudan, Rwandan soldiers and police officers are recognized for their discipline, their professionalism, and their unique ability to engage in community building in conflict zones. This export of peace is a vital part of Rwanda's global brand. It is a powerful form of soft power that says to the world, we know what collapse looks like, and therefore we are the best equipped to prevent it elsewhere. By exporting the lessons of their own reconciliation and security, Rwanda has made itself indispensable to the international community. This global engagement also served a domestic purpose. It gives young Rwandans a sense of pride and a role in the global story. They are no longer a country that the world needs to save, they are a country that helps save the world. This transition from a recipient of security to a provider of it is perhaps the most profound indicator of how far the meteoric rise has truly gone. No miracle is without its complexities, and Rwanda's path forward is not without significant hurdles. As the nation aims for high-income status, it faces the middle-income trap, the challenge of moving from a growth model based on infrastructure and low-cost labor to one based on high-level innovation and private sector competition. The state has been the primary engine of growth for 30 years, but for Vision 2050 to succeed, the Rwandan private sector must take the lead. This requires a shift in mindset, fostering a culture of risk-taking and entrepreneurship that can thrive independently of government contracts. There are also the external pressures of a volatile region and the global economic climate. Being landlocked means that Rwanda is always sensitive to the stability and infrastructure of its neighbors. Furthermore, the radical accountability and discipline that built the country are often viewed through a critical lens by Western observers who question the balance between rapid development and political space. Rwanda's leadership argues that their model is a pragmatic response to their unique history, prioritizing social stability and economic rights as the foundation for all other freedoms. Navigating these internal and external tensions while maintaining the breakneck speed of development will be the defining challenge of the next generation of Rwandan leaders. Perhaps the greatest legacy of Rwanda's rise is the blueprint it offers to the rest of the African continent. For decades, the narrative of African development was written by outsiders, focusing on aid and external intervention. Rwanda flipped the script, proving that homegrown solutions like Imihigo and Umuganda are more powerful than any imported model. They have shown that dignity, discipline, and a clear national vision are the most valuable currencies a nation can possess. Countries across the continent are now looking to Kigali, not just for inspiration, but for practical advice. From drone logistics to digital government services, the Rwandan model is being studied and adapted from West Africa to the Horn of Africa. Rwanda has proven that an African nation can be the cleanest, the safest, and the most tech-forward in the world. They have dismantled the poverty of ambition that often plagues post-conflict states, replacing it with a fierce, unapologetic drive for excellence. The Rwandan Miracle isn't just about Rwanda, it's a proof of concept for an entire continent. As we conclude our journey through the land of 1,000 hills, we are left with a story of a nation that refused to die. In 1994, the world saw the end of Rwanda, but the people of Rwanda saw a beginning. Through the ashes of tragedy, they built a society defined by a radical social contract, a corporate-level efficiency, and a green digital future. They showed us that geography is not destiny, that history does not have to be a cage, and that unity is the ultimate engine of prosperity. The meteoric rise of Rwanda is not a finished story. It is a living, breathing work in progress. It is a testament to what is possible when a people decide that their past will not dictate their future. As the drones continue to fly over the volcanic peaks and the fiber optics hum beneath the soil, Rwanda stands as a beacon of hope. A reminder that no matter how deep the valley, the climb to the summit is always possible. This is Rwanda. This is the miracle on the grass. This is Africa Revealed. The story of Rwanda is one of the most powerful examples of human resilience in modern history. But it's just one of many incredible stories unfolding across the continent. If you found this deep dive into the Rwandan Miracle inspiring, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Africa Revealed. We are dedicated to bringing you the facts, the data, and the untold stories of African innovation and success that you won't find in the mainstream media. What part of Rwanda's rise surprised you the most? Was it the drone revolution, the gender parity in parliament, or the monthly community service of Umuganda? Let us know in the comments below. And if you think more people need to see the Singapore of Africa, share this video with a friend. Thank you for watching, for being part of this community, and for helping us reveal the true face of Africa. We'll see you in the next one.